Hello. Good morning, good evening. It depends where you are. For you, Eugene, it's for sure good evening.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice. I'm very happy to meet you and to meet everybody. At least we have this opportunity to meet if we cannot on spot. But
you think we need to wait for some minutes because
you are the boss.
because last session just
yes, I was there. I know.
Some minutes ago.
Yes,
So
I know I was there.
Meanwhile, let me ask you a quick question. In case I call you by your last name, which title would you like me to add? Professor, doctor, Mr.
I'm a professor, a doctor, and a mister. But what you like? What is the usage in Korea? What you want?
Yeah, usually we just add the title professor in case like yours.
Okay.
Professor Dana Picard. Did I pronounce your name correct?
Yes, really, yes.
Okay. And what about you? Natalia Budinsky. Did I pronounce your name correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Which title?
I'm teacher in the school, so that's my title, teacher.
Okay. Yeah, in Korea, we usually just call our teachers with the word teacher. So is it the identical case to the case in your country?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Then following the typical way in your country, can I just call you Teacher Budinsky?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
Great. And what about you, the other researchers who present your paper today? Farida Nur Hassana, did I pronounce your name correct?
Yeah, that's good. You can call me Dr. Farida.
Dr. Farida. Okay. Let me just make a note. Dr. Farida. Okay. And what about you, the other researchers? Who present the paper today? Professor Sarah Horshikovich, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can I just call you Professor Horshikovich?
Hershkovitz, yes.
Horshikovich, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And okay, Dr. Farida, we have two more scholars who are the co-researchers for this research, today's presentation. Which titles would I use for the other two scholars?
Yes, I have my colleague, Dr. Bri, and also Dr. Masganti. But it seems like Dr. Masganti probably cannot attend this event because at the same time she had to attend some offline activities, but we're still waiting for Dr. Fibri.
Okay. Dr. Masganti. And the other scholar, can I call her Miss Fibri?
Yes,
Or
you can call her Dr. Fibri.
Okay. Dr. Fibri? Which one would be good for Fibri to call?
Yeah, you
Fibri?
can call her Dr. Fibri.
Dr. Fibri, okay. Okay, now I think the participants got into this conference room, even though we had a very short break. Now let's begin the first part of the session 2 of the conference. Despite the difficulties caused by COVID-19, our educational endeavors have been continuing, and I'm glad we are getting together today at this conference, which connects us in different parts of the world and give the opportunity to discuss our research interests in this transitional period toward the post-COVID era. Let me deliver a short notice to you about the operation of your device. Please make sure you have your mic on when you are talking to us and keep it muted when you are not. It would be greatly appreciated if you turn your screen on so that you can create a virtual environment in which we feel like having a face-to-face conversation. This session has 2 subsessions. As you see in the conference program, we have 3 presentations for the first subsession and 3 more in the second. We have very interesting papers lined up for this session. Now, let me begin by introducing the first presentation. We have Professor Dana Picard and Professor Hershkovitz presenting on the topic of how the COVID-19 crisis helped to enhance convergence in STEAM education. Tiara Dana Picard is the President Emeritus of Jerusalem College of Technology in Israel. And he served as the chair of the why don't we have Professor Dana Picard as this? Is it possible to have him on the screen? Because I'm interested in him now.
I am here on the screen.
Okay, let me just go on. And he served as the chair of the mathematics department in teacher training colleges. He has been involved in research on mathematics, teaching mathematics, technology, mathematics, and STEAM education as well. He has been an active member of the international and domestic academic communities, giving lectures, chairing at conferences, serving on editorial boards of research journals, among others. He published numerous research papers and book chapters and offered a digital textbook on a computer algebra system as well. Sarah Hershkovitz is the head of the mathematics department at Levinsky Wingate Academic College in Tel Aviv, Israel. She taught at the Center for Educational Technology and served as the head of the mathematics department and the head of the assessment evaluation department there. She led the development of dozens of textbooks in the educational digital contents and published numerous books and research papers in mathematics, mathematics education, educational technologies, and STEAM education, among others. Please welcome Professor Dana Picard and then Professor Hershkovitz.
Thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure to be with you today, even from a remote place, remote with respect to Korea. And it's a great thing that you organize this conference. Thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation. I will now share our screen. Here it is. Okay, do you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So meanwhile, as I shared a screen, I can see only a few of you. But if somebody has to ask a question or something, it will be, I will see the questioner. So our topic is how the COVID-19 crisis helped to enhance convergence in STEAM education. Actually, this talk should be a follow-up on a talk that we delivered in the same conference last year. But now the entire world has made one giant step forwards. But that time, we could describe the way we were before and what happened to us with this COVID, and what happened to us. You can see that on the left with the totally empty campuses and problems with very, very sick people and people who fled everything. And in the meanwhile, we were at a place where the sea was very, very stormy, and not only because the first cases of COVID were discovered on some boats during cruises, but this was the situation. Not we have made a step forwards, and we are at sea after the storm. Some waves are still there, but we can think of being after the storm. And then we have to ask ourselves what we are doing and what should we do. Some of our colleagues or sometimes politicians think that we are back to the world pre-COVID era, but probably it's not that, and we did not go back to the pre-COVID schemes for various reasons. And so many universities are now organized in different formats, different from what they had in the past. So the different formats which exist now are sometimes in presence, in class, what I wrote as IC. Some of the courses are synchronous, some of the frames are hybrid, and for the same course, it can contain some synchronous meetings and asynchronous work, some hybrid with students in classroom and students remote. Some courses are totally asynchronous, and other formats are possible. Everything exists. And regarding the video, the question is always, are the lectures and the labs recorded? Should they be available, and to whom should they be available? Only to the students who were there, only to the students who are remote, and even to non-registered students. These are part of the questions that can be asked. But what is for sure clear for everybody is that new pedagogies have been developed, and they had to be developed, and they have been developed and are still under development. And my guess is that this only the beginning of the work. It will go further and further for a couple of years at least. But not only new pedagogies had to be developed, but new skills had to be acquired. And these new skills were skills for both students and for teachers. The teachers have to be accustomed with technologies, with various technologies, but the students also. And so we will see that the new skills were not and are not totally disconnected. They are not the teacher's skills and the student skills, but something is a mix for them. And so in the different mix that we can have, we have a different mixes of technologies also. So even in classroom, we can have a classroom projector and a screen. We can have mathematical software, but we can have something different from what appears in the photo on the top. Here we have a regular classroom in the pre-COVID era. The difference with a classroom today could be that on every desk for every student, there would be a laptop. And the students could both hear the teacher and work on their laptop at the same time. And even in different in a different setting, we will see in the next slide, we can have a mixed audience. The picture, the photo that you have here is of a conference, of CAJME conference we had last month on our campus in Jerusalem. There were more people online than people in the lecture hall. It was totally hybrid, but people who were at remote places in Indonesia, Malaysia, Tanzania, Austria, Finland, were totally present in what we had, the same way that people who sat in the hall. And once again, we have the same kind of technologies, but plus the classroom projector, the screen, and communication software. In classroom, we can have distance learning only, and so we have some kind of software. And if we want to do that in an asynchronous way, there are still other kind of technologies that they must be involved in what we are doing. And all this mix of formats and of technologies are depending of what are called the institutional culture. The administration of the institution makes decisions which kind of technology to purchase, which kind of technologies to make available, and which kind of synchronous, asynchronous format they require for. And I know a lot of institutions in which 2 days in the week are automatically online, or 2 days in the week are automatically for courses which will be asynchronous. Everything can be done. Which kind of communication technology, which kind of mathematical software will be available, it's also their decision, both for pedagogical reasons, and the teacher have their say in the decision, but also for financial reasons, and that administration has its say in that. And will these technologies be available only on the premises of the institution, at the teacher's home, at students' home also? All this has to be defined by a collaboration between the teachers and their administrations, but it has to be present. Actually, I described also the kind of new technologies in classroom to have it where every student has a laptop and is following the lecture in presence, but also on the laptop. And so the teacher can share some documents, or students can share between themselves. For example, to have a Zoom meeting, even if everybody is there. So you can share your screen and students can show the screen, and you don't have to be in a computer lab. And so generally teachers are looking for this double benefit, to have both a rich technological environment, but to have also the physical classroom atmosphere and the communication between students also. And actually, what is our user guide, let's say like that, are the 4 C's of 21st century learning. And these, what I present you now, and Sarah and myself were working according to these 4 C's, sometimes adding a 5th one, in communication, to share thoughts, ideas, proposals, to collaborate. And you will see that this collaboration and this communication can be very, very different from what they were in the pre-COVID era. And with all this material available, we should apply critical thinking to analyze, to looking at problems in new ways, and to link learning across disciplines and topics. And all these technologies are very rich for doing that. And creativity, of course, because if you are working in a very rich environment, so creativity can be enhanced. And actually, creativity is a notion which has no very, very precise definition. But when we are meeting creativity and where we are wanting to enhance creativity, we know how to identify it. And so all this must be preserved and more developed in post-crisis time than it was in pre-crisis time. The way we were teaching, with students sitting and not saying a single word, and the teacher delivering, conveying knowledge, and the students are passive, they are receptive only. We think that this is the heritage of the past and not more than that. And here we have the big changes. So communication, generally people think about communication between humans, a human-human communication. But with all these technologies, we have to develop new human and machine, what it was called in pedagogy, the man and machine collaboration, but we have also the machine and machine, because we have different technologies. We have the mathematical software, we have the writing software, we have the communication software, but even, for example, if we work with mathematical software, sometimes, and we have some researchers like that, we need two kinds of mathematical software, a computer algebra system and a dynamical geometry system, and they have to collaborate because each of them have its specific affordances. And for a lot of problems and questions, we need the two kinds of technology and they have to communicate. This is not automatic. And sometimes it's only by copy paste that we can go from one technology to the other one. And we wish to have more automatic communications transfer of data from one kind of software to another kind of software. It exists still for some very limited possibilities, but we wish that it will be more automatic. Collaboration also. We were accustomed to collaboration between teachers. They work together. There is a team working on, for example, if we have a big course in linear algebra or calculus, you have different groups, different teachers, and they can collaborate. We are used to that. And also collaboration between learners and learners. I don't relate to cheating. I relate to really collaboration. They work together, they learn together. But there is also a collaboration between teacher and learners. It existed before, but it was more important. For example, in distance learning, it happened to me, it happened to every teacher, that the teacher has some difficulties with the technology, and the students, wherever they are, would help from a remote place. And for example, yesterday, somebody at Sarah's place intervened in my computer in order to help us to prepare something. So there are a lot of collaborations. And so this critical thinking, I spoke about it already. And for this creativity, we have no new tools for defining conceptualization and more precise mathematical formulations. And so a different approach to the various problems that we can encounter. And so we had new pedagogic endeavors in the different COVID-19 ways, because within every wave, the governmental decisions to have a lockdown, not to have a lockdown, what to do in academy, what to do in high schools, and so on, were quite different. And so the pedagogy has to be adapted or to be created for the new environment, for the new situation. And therefore, all this happened. And in STEAM, this was, we think, a very, very central environment and a central concept of teaching and of learning, because these communication technologies, the fact that students could make a huge data mining for every question, almost in real time, and to get together different objects, it was very, very useful, and useful to broaden the horizons of the students, not to have them, for example, focused on a very mathematical setting and you solve a question. Yesterday, we had a communication by a colleague of mine in my department saying that the students have problems, and she described the problems to transfer their knowledge in mathematics into physics. And the equations are not written the same way, the notations are not the same way, and the meaning of the things. And in mathematics, you can solve a differential equation, but the physical meaning of the solution can be very, very strange, in particular because there is no negative time. And so in mathematics, it doesn't bother us, but in physics and other scientific departments or domain of knowledge, it can be very, very annoying, let's say. But what happened at the very first period of the COVID, and when teachers sometimes took their traditional pedagogy and transferred it to the computer, to the online, we can forget this. This very, very quickly, we could decide that this is not the way of doing things. We have to do that in a new way and to invent new pedagogies. And what we will be able to do, and we were able to do, was to use the students' cultural background. This was very important for them to bring inside the other topics, other problems, other ways of thinking about problems, and especially on modeling, to have modeling in 2D, to have modeling in 3D, and to be constructing. We had some kind of examples like that in the previous session by other lecturers, and we could draw and plot and animate space mandalas using their knowledge, what they had in mind because of satellites and probes which has been sent to Mars, and a lot of work could be done working on monuments and their mathematical descriptions. So we could use, besides other kind of materials that we use, for example, here on the left, we have the first experiments to build a 3D fractal, the Sierpinski pyramid. We did it with teacher, we did it with students, but we can now also use computerized setting in order to try to make the same kind of experiments. Here what you have, it's a 4D frame material that we have in our collaboration with Hogul Park. And for the other one, you can see which kind of things, which kind of technologies, or which kind of thinking we could bring inside. In particular, we could revive some classical mathematics and some old, what was thought to be old-fashioned mathematics, but to bring it inside with a new way of thinking about that, a new way of seeing the thing, and this critical thinking was there to analyze in a new way what we had in front of us. And we know that if we read the newspapers several times, you can see that some astronomers are delivering a new paper with new results, but on the basis of data which has been collected by telescopes 10 years ago. But it's a new observation of this data which brings the new results. But actually, the data was there, but no one paid attention that this is what is there. And so we have the same kind of thing that we can have with classical mathematical topics or either other scientific topics. Of course, it can be, when I talk about the cultural background, it can be in a totally different direction. And the surfers, they know it, that the waves are not random. And
Dr.
yeah.
Professor Dana Picard, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you speed it up so that you can finish it within a few minutes?
First, we are almost done, and then these waves will take us to the seashore. Okay. And so we can have a description using trigonometry and a software to understand why, in a normal setting, every third wave is higher than the other ones. And so we could have that with GeoGebra, very, very simple animation, saying that even when we change the parameters, we have still this frame, this model of a ternary model, and the third wave is a little bit higher than the other ones. And so this is what we can have in Nazaré in Portugal and in other places. We can also have a more efficient way of transition from 2D to 3D with the specific problems visualization of 3D on the screen. It's not trivial, it's really not trivial, but we could do it, and we could experience that even in distance learning when every student was at home and using the software and experiencing the different things and showing that to the other students and to the teacher, and to the collaboration also brought this kind of work. What I show you here is a final work in a specific course on technology and mathematical teaching, and this is work of a student. So about that I already spoke, the space mandalas to draw these very nice curves. which had been done by hand by Kepler already. But we are now enabling students not only to observe the space and to extrapolate from a very, very small piece of data and to have that, but we can do that. And in order to finish, this is an example with students to analyze and to model some artistic creation. This is the main vitrage in a synagogue in US. And you have here 2 examples of the interpretation using software made by students and using translations and rotations and the symmetries and so on. And once again, a work done by a student showing the way the thing have been elaborated and constructed. And so we can do all this. This is for satellites. And finally, what we have, the final work, with the obligation to invent new pedagogies in order to have all these domains of knowledge, of these STEAM domains, to be together to develop this communication, human, machine, and other kind of ways of teaching, educational frames, face-to-face, hybrid, mix of different types within a given classroom. And here are some references to papers that we wrote or other people wrote around all this in different kind of topics, golden sections, which are ubiquitous in the classrooms, and tessellations and other things that we can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dana Picard and Professor Hershkovitz for the wonderful presentation. I wish we had more time to learn about the fascinating stuff which you presented in the PowerPoint slides. I think we can have conversation someday in case we wish to learn more about the stuff.
With pleasure, really, with pleasure.
Thank you. And because of the time limit, let's just move to the next session. And I heard that Professor Dana Picard and Professor Hershkovitz have to leave this session. What time?
Oh, very soon.
Very soon. Okay, then why don't we just get the questions from the audience before you leave?
Okay, thank you.
Would it be fine? Okay. The conference participants, if you have any questions for Professor Dana Picard and Professor Hershkovitz, please raise your questions now because they need to leave the conference room very soon.
Anyway, if there are no questions now and people want to discuss something with us, we are available very easily. So only send us an email and we can establish a Zoom meeting almost on the spot. So
yeah, because yeah, we needed to just speed up. If you have some comments for us before you leave in regard to STEAM education and other aspects of education during the COVID period, the post-COVID era, please tell us what you think.
Okay, Sarah, you want to say something? Or I answer? You are muted.
Thank you very much. I think that we tried to be very clear and we are available to answer on mail everybody.
Okay, if I can only add something that if you remember at the beginning of the first COVID wave, a lot of questions have been asked by people regarding the crisis, the pandemic. And so a lot of mathematical papers have been written on that, but people from the street, from the general population ask explain us how the specialists can preview what will happen within 1 week, 2 weeks, and how these curves that the newspapers and the TV news are presenting us, how they do that. And so this was a very good trigger for presenting some STEAM work that we could do or other people did.
Yeah, thank you very much for your valuable insights. And we can just have other opportunities in the future to learn more about this stuff. Thank you so much.
So. Thank you to everybody, and apologies that we have to leave. Okay, thank you very much, and good luck.
Thanks. Then let's move to the second presentation of this session. The presenter, Natalia Bukinski, is a Fulbright alumni at Kent State University in the US. She acquired a Master of Science degree in mathematics and in education from the University of Novi Sad in Serbia. Innovation in education is of her special research interest. She received several awards, including those granted by Microsoft, Euroguidance, and the EPALE, among others. The title of teacher Bukinski's presentation is Motivating Girls to Develop and Maintain Interest in STEM. Please welcome teacher Bukinski.
Thank you for the introduction. I will talk about my engagement in the field of STEM education and how to motivate especially girls in that field, because that topic is very important for the girls and for the STEM and for the society in general. At first, I will talk a little bit about my work and about my dedication to STEM education. I am also very interested in combining STEM and art and teaching mathematics and science concept through art activities. So I have been working a lot of including origami in math lessons. Then these are some of screenshots from my papers and from my classroom activities. I'm connecting GeoGebra and 3D printing. I'm also interested in supporting students in developing entrepreneurship competencies. So we were working on 3D printing STEM-inspired jewelry. This is a Logiface game. It's an analog game. It was a project. We are about to finish this project where we develop lesson plans and methodology for applying this game in the classroom. Also, this is one topic that connects origami and paper folding and fractals, very advanced mathematical topic to the classroom. We connected this topic to the programming in Scratch environment. This is also something connected to programming and to coding, a bubble sort algorithm, a simple algorithm for sorting numbers that we were learning through dance activities. I'm also interested in connecting such unusual and making such unusual connections such as dance and mathematics. So this is a math dance performance together with the professional performers that we established in Belgrade last year. So it was performed in National Theatre and on other places in order to promote mathematics and STEM in general. This is also something that I work on. It's a mathematics and poetry. Writing mathematical poetry is quite a challenge for students, even though it sounds a little bit unusual. But let's get back to the topic of my research. I just wanted to give a background of my work so you might better understand the topic that I'm presenting right now, and that is that we need to support girls to take more initiative and more to be more active in STEM field. It is well known that STEM is, we are talking about STEM, and it stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it is considered an interdisciplinary approach. So those subjects cannot, included in STEM, cannot be separated, but they need to be integrated and oriented to the real world application of the underlying skills. Interested in STEM increased as world started to enter technological revolution and rapidly changed to the vast use of technology. There are numerous benefits of STEM developing the skills students they need in the future, and we need to encourage experimentation, teamwork, knowledge application besides all of this STEM and scientific and mathematical concept. So it also provides a meaningful use of technology and adoption of new ways of divergent thinking and problem solving. It is very important to say that STEM support creativity and critical thinking, which form two key competencies for the future. But somehow, because the STEM is so important and so interwoven into everyday lives, it is important to know that the jobs of today and future jobs even more will be based on concepts such as STEM. So there are various STEM careers, diverse from civil engineering to work in a laboratory or bank. So refer to jobs of the future, corpus of STEM jobs is growing, and there are a lot of rates of employment and increasing demands for STEM professionals. But somehow girls and women are not in an equal position in that job race. So that situation affects in general economy and development. So many girls give up on studying STEM too early, even though that at young age they could gain transferable skills which are useful for their future life. But by developing confidence and creativity through STEM education, girls could be equipped with the knowledge and confidence to make change in their communities. So many communities around the world face the problem with energy pollution, food production, clean water, health issues, and girls could be the part of the solution. So one of the approach to increase girls' interest in STEM discipline could be to show them that women can be successful in many jobs that are traditionally considered jobs exclusive for men. So it's important for girls to have adequate role models in order to start thinking that a STEM career is a possibility for them. They must know that they are not alone and that many women and girls fulfill their dreams about being scientists, technologists, engineering, or mathematicians. There are many examples of women through history that have shown exquisite passion, knowledge, and strength in discovering science and mathematics. You can see on this slide two of them, such as Maria Curie, and we all know that she received 2 Nobel Prizes, or Hedy Lamarr, who was a Hollywood actress, but also an inventor in the field of telecommunication. So even those examples from the past are remarkable and significant. Girls need more modern and contemporary role model, something that is very close to them, not a Hollywood story and something that is from their neighborhood. So they need someone who is more close and comparable, and a good suggestion could be a role model from their community or someone that they went to their school who then had a successful career in the STEM field. Also, gender is not the only reason that girls give up STEM. We found out that some girls from vulnerable groups have even less chance to pursue their career in STEM. That's why we started with the project called Bilingual Female Scientists. The project was supported by Serbian Ministry of Education, and the goal of the project was to empower girls to choose their future careers in STEM field in order to secure a better future for them. In the project activities, we promote an interdisciplinary education to girls in bilingual and minority communities, basically rural communities where girls are reluctant to study these subjects. So we invited about 10 female scientists from different minority communities in Serbia, such as Ruthenian, Slovakian, Hungarian, Bosnian, and all of them had an opportunity to educate them in their mother tongue. So, which they speak beside the Serbian language. So through the project, female scientists promoted their research and articulated the benefits of bilingualism in STEM education. The project aims to break stereotypes about women in the STEM, but also minorities and bilingualism. You can see we published a brochure that was consisted of the biography of 10 female scientists and their references and their messages to other girls why to choose the future career in the STEM field. It was very well accepted. The project was very well accepted, even more than we expected. We got the promotion. You can see the meeting in the Ministry for Human Rights and Minorities and Social Dialogue in Serbia. You can see the minister itself here promoting and talking about our project, and other officials, Serbian officials. We got the second award at the national competition in career counseling. So one small project and one small idea got a quite big impact. So we are continuing with promoting STEM careers to girls in our school and in our community, and hopefully even wider. So this is what I had to say for this occasion, and these are my contacts. You can feel free to contact me and connect through social media or through email or any other way you find suitable for you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for teacher Budinsky for sharing your insight on STEM education for girls. I heard that you also need to leave now. Yeah. If you have any questions for teacher Budinsky, please raise your question very quickly. A short one, please. Yeah, because she needs to leave the conference room now. If you hand over your question to us, then we can just deliver the question to Dr. Budinsky later. Would it be okay?
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Budinsky.
Thank you for the invitation and have a nice day.
You too. Now we will have the third presentation. We have Farida Nurhan Hasna Masgantisit and Fibri Rakamawati. Did I pronounce the names correctly? I hope so. Presenting their research on integrating traditional games to STEAM education. Farida Nurhasana. Okay.
Yes.
Farida Nurhasana is a researcher and lecturer at Sebelas Maret University in Indonesia. Also, she is a deputy director for a mathematics program. She is involved in other educational programs, governmental ones, as well as those of non-profit organizations. She earned the doctorate degree in mathematics education at Indonesia University of Education. She has a variety of research interests, including mathematical abstraction, geometry education, teaching mathematics through games, and STEM and STEAM education, among others. Other two scholars, let me introduce briefly. Masganti Sid is a lecturer in the Early Childhood Islamic Education Study Program at the State Islamic University of North Sumatra, Indonesia. She received the doctorate degree in early childhood education from Jakarta State University, Indonesia. She has been involved in a research program funded by the Ministry of Religion of the Republic of Indonesia, the main theme of which is the development of Indonesian traditional games combined with STEAM education. Fibri Rakamawati is a lecturer in the mathematics education program at the State Islamic University of North Sumatra in Indonesia. Along with Dr. Masganti Sid, she has been doing research on the development of Indonesian traditional games for the STEAM-based education. The title of the three researchers' paper is Promoting STEAM for Early Childhood Education Through Traditional Games. Please welcome Dr. Farida, Dr. Masganti, and Dr. Fibri.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kujin Kim. First of all, I'm honored to be here, to be part of the ICAS conference in 2022. And then please allow me to share my screens. Okay. So, can you see my screen? Okay. In this event, I would like to share, there are two activities related to the STEMs that I involved in this year's. And this is one of the activities that in collaboration with Dr. Masganti and Dr. Fibri in promoting STEM for early childhood education to traditional game in post-pandemic situations, of course. Pablo Picasso said that every child is an artist, and the problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. But on the other hand, Claire said that every child is a natural scientist, and the problem is how to remain a scientist once we grow up. So basically, STEM and STEAM right now becoming popular day by day in Indonesia and across the level of education. Mostly here in Indonesia, STEM and STEAM also promoting in the level of elementary school until junior high school and higher and senior high school. So there's still limited resources for childhood educations to learn about what is STEAM and how to integrate the lesson in the early childhood educations about STEAM activities. And based on our experiences, there are also still many teachers when we conducted the seminars and also the trainings. There are many teachers, even this is the first time heard about the STEAM. Yeah. This is the first time for them heard about the STEAM, and they really wanted to know what STEAMs actually is, and then how they can use STEAM activity in early childhood education, especially. As we know that the rapid changings of the unpredictable situations, yeah, we need to prepare even the young children with the skills, the foresee, critical thinking, creative thinking, collaborations, it together to prepare them to be ready with all the changes. Okay. And here I share the map of Indonesia because as we know, the Indonesia is archipelago, yeah, from west to east. We have a lot of islands, and then the situation and the conditions are not same in every places. So this project basically conducted in North Sumatra. So here, yeah, a little bit here. So it is quite far away from Java Island, yeah, quite far away from Java Island. this also can affect the facilities, the technology, yeah, how the lessons, how the educations taken place in every area, in every district of Indonesia. And then this has become more challenging during the pandemic situation. So early childhood education, I think one of the most fragile when we conduct the learning during pandemic using an online or a remote learning. Yeah, because the situation is very complicated. Not all parents can provide enough attentions and enough time to accompany their children, and also, of course, not enough skills and knowledge how to be or how to teach their students, their children in their home. Yeah, this is very challenging situations. So based on these situations and also some of the data that we collected, especially basically from me, there's some very interesting finding from my training and then seminars several times. I got that there's still many misconceptions about STEAM. Yeah. One misconception which is always taken place is about the use of technology. So almost all the participants, mostly more than 80% of them, they believe that technology only relates to the information and communication technology, the computer, the handphone, everything that using electricity is called technology. And this is something that we need to work that need to fix these misconceptions. And then the second one is about the STEM or STEAM itself. Most of them believe that STEM is similar with handicraft. So it is similar with the handicraft. So most of them do not get the idea that STEM is related to solving the problems and then using critical and creativity thinking. And this is a very challenging situation. So based on the situation, then we decided to develop a module for pre-service and in-service early childhood teachers, yeah, to be able to more understand about what STEAM and then give them the examples how to do the STEAM activities in the school for early childhood education. And because of we would like also try to what we call as a revise what their understanding or misconceptions about the technology, then we put the local context using a traditional games as our main themes in this module. So then we use the principles about interdisciplinary contextualization, interest and inquiry into our module. And then we found some of the traditional games can be used to facilitate the STEAM learning in early childhood educations. Yeah, here, the traditional game based on the literature review, yeah, and also based on our previous finding, yeah, this is also can help the students develop the skill of science process, and then it is also support the scientific thinking of the students, yeah, and also related to the problem solving and cognitive abilities, especially math, because some games, some traditional games in Indonesia, it's also they have the rules, yeah, they have the rules and pattern, which is very very effective to teach some mathematics. For example, number sense, yeah, number sense in early childhood education. Later, I will explain what kind of game this is that. And then, of course, some of games they have to play together at least to children. So it's also related to the collaboration and art and cultural literacy. Yeah, because this is a traditional games and some and we put the arts, yeah, the arts aspect into the designs. here are what we would like to achieve. Yeah, the aims of our module. Actually, we would like to evaluate whether the module that we were designed, it is appropriate to enhance the students' creativity and then the students' critical thinkings. Also, we would like to see about the involvement and enjoyment of the students and the persistence. Because here in Indonesia, after the pandemic situation, almost all students, it seems like they are really wanted to go to school and meet their teacher, meet their friends in person. Yeah, because the culture and the social situation in Indonesia a little bit different. We are a very civilization, social type of Indonesia. In every part of region, we have different kind of social connectivity. So in North Sumatra, for example, people like to meet each other, and then so this is also affect how the post-pandemic situation can. We would like to come back to the normal before the pandemic. Yeah. So here we intend to create the module in order to be used for the offline. This is the methodology that we use. Yeah, we started from the curriculum analysis for the early childhood educations, and then the concept analysis here, and then after that we design the draft, and then after that we do the expert assessment, and we after the draft revision, and then we conducted the experimentation. Yeah. And after that, we got the final module, and we also measuring the creativity and then also the critical thinking. But here, because the time is limited, so I just share some of the findings that we got from the module. The first games that we designed here is about paper or origami. So use origami to create a paper boat. Using the origami, the students create a paper boat. We challenge them also to give a colors and also some shapes. How the students can create an art, make the paper boat more artistic. Yeah. The creativity first, it comes to the how we challenge the children to create a boat from paper. Can we create a boat from paper? Yeah, we start with like that, and then the children then decorate the paper boats also. And after that, we try together in the water whether your paper boat can sink or not. Yeah, can sink or not in the water. So this is also very interesting because many of the children, they will ask some questions. So this is also promote the critical thinking. For example, why when the paper boat can sink, and then what can cause it? Yeah, the children in this research, they are 4 until 6 years old children. And now in for mathematics, it's also including the countings. Yeah, we try to provide this children to be ready to learn about number sense. And the second one is we call as a congklak or batu serimbang. This game actually, I don't know whether in other countries they also have the similar games of this one. This is related to mathematics. There are two pair of holes, 7 holes in every line, and then there are two big holes. Yeah, 2 big holes at the edge, in every edge of the of what we call as a board, yeah, like that. And then in every hole, we have to put seven items or seven small rock or something like marbles. Yeah, seven. There are seven holes, and then we put all the holes with seven holes with seven items, right? And then after that, children have to move one by one. Yeah, put the rock, or the small rock into the first hole, the second hole, and then until the big hole. Yeah, this we call as a chongklak. So the children, this is one of the most favorite games for the children. They have to play by two children pairs. Yeah, and then they need to know how to count 1 until 7. Yeah, 1 until 7. In this module, we prepare the teachers to guide the students for playing the games, and after that, creating the games using easy made materials. Yeah, very easy find in their environment, in their house, just like a tray for egg. Yes, tray for egg, we can use that. But basically these games were designed using right now in the modern era using a plastic, or previously it using a lock. Yeah, it using a lock and then create the hole like that in every lock, and then the items they use what we call as cream or something from the oceans like that. Yeah, the material from the oceans. Yeah, usually like that. What we call, and then next we also introduce how to create a kite, and then how to play a kite with the childrens. Yeah, the small children basically designing kite use it need skills. Yeah, but in a group, yeah, we really amazed. Yeah, finally these kids, they can create their own kite and then fly the kite together. So without very sophisticated knowledge about mathematics, about STEM, and about physics, but basically they, by trial and error and then guided by the teacher, they can create a kite. Yeah, this is also one of the traditional games in Indonesia. And next is we call it as an engklek, or yeah, oma-oma. So these games, yeah, we use a kind of some regular shape. Yeah, what regular shape we draw in the floor. We draw. It has a pattern, and then the children have to pass by one foot. How should I say that? They just jump with one foot. If there only one square, then they have to jump with one foot. But if there are two squares, so it means they have to jump with two feet. So this is the rules. And then the children, they can create their pattern based on their imagination. So basically the rules we gave, but how they will create all the structure or the whole pattern, it's up to the children. Yeah, these games also very easy, and then it's cost nothing. I mean, you just need some chalk, or sometimes a board, yeah, marker or something like that.
Dr.
And
Farida,
Yes.
Farida, sorry to interrupt. Would it be possible to wrap it up within a few minutes?
Yes, I almost finished.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, thank you, James. And then next one is cooking games. I think this is a very used to be one of the part in STEAMs. Yeah. So the children, they make orange juice and then various juices to be able to learn how to mix together to promote their creativity. And then after that, they making various They count the amount of the juice that has been made. They measure, and they measure how much the juice that they got. And the conclusion is that through this module, the teachers and then pre-service teachers, they get more experience in carrying out the STEAM learning practice using traditional games. And also for the children itself, we can found that all these traditional games in line with the increasing of their creativity, critical thinking, and early science and early mathematics. So we got the presentation about 88% of them has a really great result. Yeah. And the next question is about how to transform all the games, the traditional games, into the digital forms, because as I mentioned in the first slide, that the Indonesian situation is quite diverse. So in some part of Indonesia, most of the students has an access to the technology, but the other part, they cannot have the access. So I think that's what we conducted in North Sumatra, and I hope that it can inspire all of you. And this project was funded by the Ministry of Religions Affairs in Indonesia. Yeah, because in Indonesia there are two ministers who take care of different type of school. Yeah, for the religion schools, then the funding get from the Ministry of Religions and Affairs. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, Dr. Farida. If you have any questions for Dr. Farida, please let us know. While the participants become ready to raise a question, let me ask you, Dr. Farida. It's very impressive to see that the traditional games transform so nicely into educational contents. If there was any obstacle during the procedure to start from the traditional games and creating educational materials based upon the games. If there is any obstacle during the process, could you let us know if what it was and how you could overcome the obstacle?
Yeah, thank you for the questions. Yeah, basically, of course, there are some obstacles during the process of transforming the games into the STEM projects. And how the first obstacle is we need to choose the traditional games that contain educational or pedagogic aspect. Yeah, from multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary aspect, because we need to put the arts, the mathematics, and also the science. That's the first. And then how we cope this situation. We try to analyze one by one. There are many games, many traditional games, and we analyze one by one. We try to brainstorming what, for example, what science aspect, yeah, what aspect in science that we can include in this specific games like that. And then the second one is, of course, in the during the experimentation. During the experimentation, as I mentioned before, because most of the teachers, they have in mind the misconception about STEM is about creating products. So just like giving procedure, then the student follow the procedure, but not giving the problem and then try to help the student how to solve the problem. This is one of the most challenging, because all the games, I think it's some of them, it's ready made. And then for example, for the kite, if the students, the teacher will have the assumption, if the students do not guiding step by step, then how come they can make the kite? Yeah, but basically we can just try give the opportunity to the student first, how they brainstorm, how to create all these, for example, kite or all this object, and what kind of material they can get from the environment near them. So I think that's the most challenging part of our project. Thank you, Hijin.
Thank you so much for your answer, Dr. Farida. I think it's almost a time we finish this part of the session. Please take a break for some minutes and get back to the second part of this session. We have 3 more presentations for this session. Please get back by 6:40 p.m. Korean time, which is 11:40 a.m. Central European time. Thank you all. See you soon. Welcome to the second part of the conference session. Let me ask the same question as I asked to the presenters in the previous part of the session. The researchers who present the paper today, which title would you like me to add to your last name in case I call you with your last name? Or would you prefer me to call you with your first name? Please just let me know which would be your preference. Hello, do you hear me? 못 들으시는 것 같은데. 들려요? Peter, Negiesi, do we have you here in the Zoom conference room?
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
Which title would you like me to use? Would you like me to use for calling you with your last name?
It's okay. It's okay, but Peter will be good.
Okay, first name or title with the last name? Please let me know which one would be your preference.
First name will be okay.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
And do we have Michael James Acera here with us now?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. The same question for you.
I
Please
put
let
it
me know.
in the chat. I put it's Mike. You can call me Mike.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Welcome.
I'm Hijin. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
And do we have Soyul Yi and Youngjun Lee here in the conference room?
Yes, I'm here. My name is.
Okay. Yeah, the same question for you.
Yeah, whatever. But it's up to you. I
Up to
don't
me.
care about that.
Yeah, then why don't I just choose the typical way we just go with in Korea? Would it be fine? Professor E and Professor Lee, would it be fine for you, or would you prefer something else?
Pardon?
Okay, let me just go with Professor E and Professor Lee. Following the typical way we just take in Korea. Okay. Welcome everyone to the second part of the session. Let's begin the second part by introducing the first presentation. We have Soyul Yi and Youngjin Lee presenting their paper entitled Development of Artificial Intelligence, Teachers Training Course about Informatics, Mathematics, and Science Convergence Education for Secondary School Teachers. Soyul Yi is a professor in the Department of AI Convergence Education at Suncheonhyang University in Korea. She received a doctoral degree in elementary computer education from Korea National University of Education. Her research interests include machine learning, artificial intelligence, software education, informatics, teacher training, and computing-related convergence education. Youngjun Lee is a professor in the Department of Computer Education at Korea National University of Education. He received his PhD degree in computer science from the University of Minnesota in the US. His research interests include intelligent system, science education, informatics, technology, and engineering education. Please welcome Professor Yi and Professor Lee.
Hello. Yes. As Kim, Dr. Kim says, my name is Soyu Lee, and our research project subject is development of artificial intelligence teachers training course about informatics, mathematics, and science convergence education for secondary school teachers. And I feel a little bit nervous, and as you know, I'm not good at speaking English, so I think you understand, and it is honor to present my research in front of you guys. So let's begin. These are the orders of my presentation, and so I will talk about introduction. Artificial intelligence, or AI for short, is core technologies in era of the fourth industrial revolution. AI is providing convenience to our lives as it is used in convergence with various technologies, studies, and services. So nowadays, companies and society are needs of AI convergence human resource, and many foreign countries are emphasize AI convergence education. According to UNESCO K-12 AI curricular report published in 2021, there are various types of AI curricula in lots of countries. There are 11 countries that have endorsed and implements AI curriculum by governments, and 5 countries have developed AI curriculum, and other are 5 curricula that endorse and implement by universities and companies, especially from USA and UK. And as it also know number of AI curricula by integration type, as you can see, most of curricula integrated with other subjects, such as ICT or IT or STEAM. In Korea, in January 2020, the AI education policy for cultivating AI talents was announced. And also in August 2022, the Ministry of Science and ICT announces the fostering of 1 million digital human resource in the digital age. And in end of August 2022, Korean Ministry of Education announces the revised national curriculum, and the curriculum emphasized the digital AI literacy and convergence education for elementary, middle, and high school students. It means that government has the will to prepare all students for the future by cultivating AI capabilities based on digital literacy. Due to its specificity, AI is used in convergence with various disciplines and technologies, and it is needed to compensate for insufficient number of hours, so that AI convergence education is very essential in these days. In other words, it is now necessary for teachers all subjects have to cultivate AI convergence educational capabilities. And currently in Korea, among the various subjects being taught to students, the core subjects for preparing for changes in the future environment are informatics, mathematics, and science. Therefore, in this study, we developed an AI-based informatics, mathematics, and science convergence education training course for secondary school teachers and tried to verify the effectiveness. In this study, various methodologies for teacher training course fostering educational competency were analyzed. Among them, the capstone design method was being used in the AI Convergence Graduate School to develop the AI Convergence educational competency for special teachers. Capstone design is a subject that general college students can improve their various competencies by exploring and solving real-world problems as projects through expanding the knowledge acquired in their respective majors. If capstone design is applied to teachers' training course, the capstone design project can be designed and developed of AI convergence lessons for students by teachers. The process of capstone design is team building, problem exploration, problem definition, problem solving, idea discovery, and evaluation and implementation. But in this study, process of capstone design framework was modified so that every teams have one word: informatics, mathematics, and science teachers evenly distribute when they build a team. So we developed this table is about capstone design based AI convergence teachers training course that we developed, and the bold marked rows are capstone design parts. And this is an example of science and informatics convergence education using educational AI platforms, which was entry for distinguished raccoon and raccoon dog. And this is an example of science, mathematics, and informatics convergence education using educational big data analysis program, which was Orange 3 data mining, and it contains for solving environmental problems. Teachers took these lectures. After that, they proceed with capstone design through a project to develop convergence lessons for their next semester. And we conduct expert reviews to find out and verify the content validity of this training course. The experts are one professor related to convergence education, 3 PhDs. Their major were educational engineering, computer education, and science education, and 2 doctoral course students. Their major were mathematics education and computer education, and 2 in-service teachers. And this table is about questionnaire of content validity review for experts. And these are formula of content validity review. We use ICAS. And this table shows the statistical analysis results for experts content validity review. ICBI values for each question ranges from minimum of 0.875 to maximum of 1.000 with an average of 0.981. Since the ICB value of all items was 0.75 or higher, it was confirmed that the training course developed in this study has content validity. This figure is the experimental design in order to verify the effectiveness of this training course. And this is the table about the general background of participants. Total number of people was 27. And the instrument was AITBI. AITBI stands for AI Teaching Efficacy Belief Instrument. And these instruments are based on AI teaching efficacy, and AI teaching efficacy refers to the degree of belief that teachers have in themselves to teach AI education. AI TBI was developed in 2021 by E&B as a tool to measure AI teaching efficacy for teachers. This table consists of AI TEBI. And the tool used for statistical analysis of changes in AITBI before and after training course was ICAS and SPSS. And the t-test result for the pre and post-test t-tests are shown in the table. The mean value of post-test increased compared to the pre-test, and it was confirmed that there was a significant difference at probability of 0.001. In order to check the specific changes, paired t-test was conducted, and we could find out all of sub-area also increased, and there was significant differences. Therefore, we thought that the training course developed in this study has positive effect on the improvement of AI teaching efficacy for secondary teachers. In this study, an AI computer education training course used capstone design was developed and applied for secondary school informatics, mathematics, and science teachers, and its effectiveness was analyzed. In the result of pre and post test of AITBI, all subject and overall values increased, and this difference has statistically significance. Therefore, if teacher training course developed in this study has a positive effect on secondary school teachers, and one of the reasons that a positive effect is capstone design method process include team collaboration to design an AI computers lesson for next semester. Collaboration between teachers in each subject would have enabled them to better understand their other subject and how to convergence, and also helpful for increased teachers' confidence that the capstone design project was intended to utilize practical AI educational contents that can be applied to lessons in the next semester. However, since the experimental subject of this study consists of single group, there is a limitation in the confidence in the effectiveness of the study is relatively low. So, and a comparison of effectiveness with the control group is required later, and also qualitative analysis through additional interview is required. So this is my presentation. Do you have any question?
So, Professor Yi, why don't you have a Q&A session after all the three presentations? Because I believe that all the presenters will be staying with us until the end of the session. Would it be fine for you?
Okay.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next presentation. The presenter, Michael James Asir. Michael? Am I pronouncing your name correct?
It's Michael,
Uh-huh.
and the middle name is James, and the last name
Uh-huh.
is Achera, like you're sitting on a chair, Achera.
Achera. Thank you so much for the correction. The presenter, Mike James Achera, is a co-founder and chief engineer at LuxBlocks LLC. He has been involved in the exploration of automata, modular construction, and comparative structures, among others. He received the Bachelor of Art degree in Studio Art from Knox College and his teaching certificate from DePaul University in the US. Mr. Achera's presentation is on the topic of the educational efficacy of a convergence educational tool derived from a min-max, minimum inventory, maximum diversity system. Please welcome Mr. Achera.
Hello, everybody. I am not going to do a PowerPoint. Hey, thank you, Ms. I'm not going to do a PowerPoint. I'm going to do what we call in America a show and tell, a good old fashioned show and tell. That was my favorite thing to do when I was a kid, was when, I don't know if they have those in Asia, but in America, they used to at least do show and tells. And that's when you would come to school with maybe a stuffed iguana or a birdhouse you built with your father or something else. And you tell the kids, show the kids what it is and then tell them about it. And then you'd answer questions. So instead of a PowerPoint, I'm going to show you what we're all about here at LuxBlocks. And over COVID, what we've learned, there's a really big demand in, could you guys all hear me okay, first of all? Could you hear me fine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share this with you. LuxBlocks are mostly sold in America, but we are in Japan now. And people like Matthias play with us in Hungary and in Finland. So we're getting around the world. We're a new construction toy. And let me show you what this is. So LuxBlocks are plastic pieces, and there's only 7 pieces in the whole system in 2 shapes, triangles and squares. And they go together like this. You snap them. You hear that? Okay, and they make a hinge, okay, a revolute joint, okay? And because they do that, because they join together, they can make sheets that unroll and are squishy, okay? But the minute you fold that sheet, the kids are exposed to a principle. Okay, one of the words for that principle is corrugation. You can create a structure by just the way I define a structure, it's a limitation of motion. Okay, you have chaos, you have a chaotic system, and by adding pattern, you could stabilize that system. Okay, so it stops moving. So you don't want a building to necessarily move too much, right? So the squares make this, and the squares make what's called prisms. Okay, so what I wanted to present today was the idea that through a building system like LuxBlocks, kids are they're what we call engaged. They're highly engaged because they're building something, and it's exciting because they're building things very quickly. And what you can do during that time of engagement, which could last hours of them building, is you could introduce nomenclature. You can introduce vocabulary, and it can be mathematical vocabulary, or you can introduce subject matter of STEAM, science, technology, all that stuff, because LuxBlocks is a convergent tool. So these are prisms. A prism is, it's a form bounded by rectangles or squares on the sides and a polygon on the top. And the polygon could be a square, it could be a triangle, it could be a hexagon. Okay, and then we also have what we call trigons, and trigons are just the Greek word for the name triangle. They're little triangles, and they make sheets too. Okay, that are also membranes that also are very squishy, but they fold not into prisms. I don't know if you guys could guess what they fold into. If you make a rectilinear form like this, a tube, these make anti-prisms. There's prisms and then there's anti-prisms. The universe is kind of made up of both of those things. And that's a nice thing about a convergence tool is that if you find a universal that can explain so much of experience to a child, but at the same time, the child doesn't even care because they're just playing and having fun. You can merge two great things, the child's interest and their engagement with the world that you want to impart on them as a teacher, okay? So here's an example of some of the joy in engineering that a kid can experience. This is the XYZ coordinate system that Descartes talked about, right? XYZ, okay? A cube that's been elongated. And it looks like a cube that's been elongated. It looks like a plus sign, three-dimensional plus sign, but look what happens. It's squishy. It's a gimbal. It's gimbaling all over the place. And if you've ever built anything out of what we call 2x4s and you don't put a diagonal to stabilize it or plywood sheathing to stabilize the cube, the personality of a cube is to want to do something like this where it actually moves, okay? So it squishes. So we call this the mechanical reduction of a dynamic system, or for instance, squish. We think of squish like a pillow is squishy, right? Or a balloon. But we can mechanically reduce that. So the kids they feel it in their hands, but they also know all those little pieces are just joined together by hinges and they're all moving. So it's a mechanism. So they're seeing it as a mechanism. That was a square one. This is a hexagonal one. And again, these are two hexagonal prisms, which you can talk to the kid about, two hexagonal prisms joined in the middle by 6 square prisms, okay? And they make a cushion that almost feels like when you put two magnets together that are opposite poles, or two positive poles, for instance, so the same pole. And so they repel each other. That's what it feels like. You're on a cushion, like a force field. So again, you're exposing kids to this phenomena. That you could talk about in any way you'd like. You could talk in the language of science or math. It also makes linkage systems. Not many people have heard of a serous linkage, okay? But serous linkages are how our hands work, how a ballerina's plie works, how our hips, knees, and ankle joints work. But this is a serous linkage. I'm gonna go slow so the camera can capture that for you, that motion. There's a very satisfying motion that kids experience when they do this, because again, it's imitating a biological mechanical motion, okay? But the kid just put it together. So they're experiencing what they see as a pretty sophisticated motion. That was a triangular one. This is a hexagonal one. This is on a hexagonal profile. It also makes a nice sound too, okay? So it's a system that's collapsing and opening up like an accordion. Okay, but it's only made of pretty much squares. So it's a minimum inventory, maximum diversity system. With squares and triangles, we can make all these different things. Excuse me. And then a 12-year-old boy named Gerard Remus, a neighbor boy of ours, found out that the system could be pocketed and modulated outward, laterally, okay? And so it could open up this way. So these are all capillaries that are all identical to each other, all radiating around a center, okay? And it's mechanically sound. It has integrity. And you can talk about, why does this system have integrity? Why is this system non-chaotic or chaotic, right? So that's the motion. Our blocks have a motion to them. So you can teach kids about, in nature, why are things have the same inventory of parts, but maybe an animal has, for instance, an ant has legs, but it has an antenna, but the antenna is actually a leg that evolved into an antenna. So they take parts and they turn them into other parts, but the inventory of their component parts might be very similar or the same. The formal language of Lux blocks is the formal language of nature. So when we talk about COVID viruses and these kinds of things, these are the forms that Plato in the Timaeus talked about, the Platonic solids, the Archimedean solids. The Lux blocks makes all of those. And the kids can make those just naturally. And as a teacher, you could nudge them along and prod them if you see they're onto something. But oftentimes the kids are so engaged in building, they don't really want direction from the teacher very much at all. They just want to build what they want to build, which is perfect for the teacher, because then you're enabled to kind of like, as a satellite, orbit around the kids and just observe them and sit with them and maybe ask them some questions and be a kind of an executive teacher and not a direct instruction teacher, which is a really sweet position to be in as a teacher. It's really nice. Another example is Again, it will make virus structures, and it'll make structures that are very fractal oriented. So you can make a structure that's an icosahedron, but then at every, for instance, in this one, every node of the pentagon, we put another module. Okay, so the kid will see a pattern emerge. They may not know the word icosahedron, which of course you could teach. It just means 20 and a 20-sider in ancient Greek, right? But the kid will see the pattern of a soccer ball. They'll recognize the soccer ball pattern. And then these are all stable structures right here, but this one I put on the bottom here, this structure is not stable. And what it does is it shows the kind of like, you know, orchid-like flower structure. These things behave just like flowers. They have the same dynamic, kinetic abilities if you took tissue like a flower petal or a leaf. Okay, you can be beautiful forms. Okay, so in terms of the genders, girls love Lux blocks equally as much as boys because it's really an art material that has engineering principles. So you get the best of both worlds. So Lux blocks comes with two shapes, a square and a triangle, and the wheels that go with them. The wheels, the shape snaps into the wheel, and then the axle snaps into the shape. And you can either make it free spinning, see if I can spin it, or you can make a driver, put it on the key and make a driver. And what I mean by that is the kids can make simple machines or complicated machines. So on this system here, the wheels are also pulleys and gears, and we use just rubber bands for the belts on the pulleys. So a kid can make a system. They can experiment and try to make different machines and demonstrate how the work will move throughout a machine. So they get, over here is the crank, and I'll turn the crank. See if I can get it to work. Here we go. Oh, let's see. Okay. There we go. So this is a non-electric, what we call this non-electric high tech. Okay. So the kid's all hand powered little machine the kid makes, right? But you could easily matriculate to electronics if you want to, because the system, kind of like Hogle Park system with 4D, you can make it electronic too. So you can put a little motor in there and a switch, and the kids could build, and they could. And next year we'll actually have programmable Arduinos, so the kids can actually program them. So it's basically an artistic building system that gives kids access to a level of engineering that they normally don't get access to. The middle hole also has the ability to have dowel rods, those axles I showed you, and also cheaper materials that are more readily available to teachers. Like for instance, what we call these in America, I don't know what you call them in Korea, we call these craft sticks or popsicle sticks. Little sticks like this, they're very inexpensive. And you could put those in Lux blocks too. And even like in kindergarten, the kids could just make something so simple as two sheets, two chains of Lux blocks, and put some popsicle sticks in there and move them and just adopt different shapes. You could ask them, what kind of shapes could you make? And again, the popsicle sticks will keep these parts parallel to each other, but the other parts won't be parallel. So they'll be like a wave or a lever or a steering mechanism, okay? So you're introducing kids to mechanical principles that are in machines. The kids don't have to know they're in machines, but you're introducing them at the play level. And that's so for me, pedagogically speaking, that's the most important thing, is you're introducing things at a play level, a constructive, creative level, where the kid is 100% engaged. There's 100% buy-in to being in school, to being there, because you are treating them like the artists they want to be anyways, right? In terms of architecture, we talk about culture, and we all live in some kind of architecture. So you can talk about different kinds of structures. Is their house a cubic prism on top of a triangular prism? Is their house a cube with a pyramid on top? Okay. Do they go to church in a cathedral? What does that roof like? Go a little bit more advanced, but it'd be the same idea of you'd have prisms on top of with anti-prisms on top with pyramids. So again, you're introducing the child to a real vernacular or a nomenclature that is geometrical, which means these are the proper mathematical terms that are used. You have to understand something. At my age, when I graduated college in about 1989, a year later, the cover of Scientific America was a giant soccer ball. and it was Buckminster Fullerene. Smalley and Croteau, the two professors at the University of Texas in Austin, had received, I think they had received a Nobel Prize or not yet, but they were being recognized for discovering the third form of pure carbon, okay? So they discovered that the third form of pure carbon was a soccer ball. It was 60 carbon molecules around a shell that was basically a truncated icosahedron. Okay, most people don't know the word truncated icosahedron, but it's essentially 20 pentagons and 12 pentagons, 20 hexagons, 12 pentagons. Okay, so it's a truncated icosahedron and has 32 sides, and it was a soccer ball. Okay, and so that was a huge deal, and they figured it out by playing with cut out pieces of cardboard from milk containers. They had milk containers and they cut them out and they glued them and taped them together into these paper balls. Okay, and so much of science is done that way, where people are sticking things in sticks and making models, and so I was very excited by that as a young graduate of college after being in engineering and art, and I wanted to find out if we could make my wife and I could make a system for children to expose them to these engineering principles. And the idea of beauty. Okay, here's another thing that sometimes we go into classrooms and they look like office spaces. They're very dry and very clean and very so much not boy. You know, I think of boys as being in creeks and in the mud and climbing trees, and maybe girls too, but boys especially, since I'm a boy. And so I think it's important to expose children to beauty. Okay, and I think when you make something like this, which is a mandala or a tessellation, and it's very beautiful, and the kids can make it on the tabletop, very flat, but you could also put this around you and make clothing out of it. Okay, so a child could take this and make it into a hat, or they can make it into armor, or they can make it, and so the play pattern becomes, again, children, I think, are programmed by default to be little civilization builders. They're storytellers and they're civilization builders. I think if you just plant a little child in the ground, they'll build a little civilization. I mean, that's what we're made to do. And you can see them doing it amongst themselves. They're establishing the order of the group and what they're going to do next and what they're going to build or destroy. So that's what they do. So this is like a tool for civilization, and it's a tool for giving them the ability to make whatever they want to make. Okay, but at the root of it, at the core of it, is mathematical scientific principles of structure, engineering, design, math. Okay, and I think that's all, kind of all I have. Again, these are examples of a phenomenon in nature. This is a toroid, okay, and toroids exist whether it's in the Hiroshima cloud or in any kind of convection current or in a bagel or a donut, right? This is a very common form in nature, a toroid, and kids can make it, and you could talk about toroids and where they exist. In popular culture, we look at things like, for instance, a spaceship, right? And we could look at the spaceship and we could say, okay, this kid wants to build a spaceship, and you could talk to the kid, well, if you want to build, like, for instance, the Starship Enterprise, how is the ship built? How will you build it with Lux blocks? And so this kid built it with, he used pentagonal prisms for the nacelles. He used square prisms for the struts on the nacelles. He made the saucer section out of a toroid, right? He made the neck of it out of a antiprism. So there's terminology throughout the whole thing. The hull, the central hull, is a hexagonal prism. So just to give you an example of how you could take something a kid really wants to do and say, okay, but you have to play my game too. My game is nature and engineering, right? So kids see that nature and engineering and math are a means to an end that they actually desire, which is to build really beautiful things. And that's all I have. I'd take any questions if you have them.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I noticed several chatting messages from the participants that it's awesome, it's cool, it's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think by reading the chatting messages from the participants, I think that there will be several questions for you later in the Q&A session. Thank you so much, Mr. Chera.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next presentation before we have a Q&A session. Now we will have the final presentation. We have Peter Negesi presenting his paper entitled "The Impact of the COVID-19 Era on the Use of E-Learning Systems in Hungary's Mathematics Education." Peter Negesi is a PhD student at Eszterházy Károly University in Hungary, and he received the Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics from the same university. He also has been teaching mathematics and computer science at a primary school. His research interests include developing mathematical web applications and e-learning environments for problem solving and adaptability. Please welcome Mr. Negesi.
Thank you so much. I welcome you all with great respect. I'm shocked. Mike, it was fantastic. Thank you so much. So I need a few moments, but I will start. I'm going to share my screen. Is it visible for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's begin. The response of educational institutions to travel bans and quarantine has led to a shift towards online learning worldwide. This has led to a boom in education, and the experience gain can better prepare us to deal with future emergencies. And this is the structure of my presentation. In Hungary, for example, the use of online education in universities and schools has expanded significantly following the outbreak of the coronavirus. Currently, little research has been done on the use of digital platforms for mathematics learning in Hungary. So the importance of my research is reflected in the following aspects. My research would like to provide useful insights into the positive side effects of COVID-19 and the use or application of digital technology in mathematics education to curriculum developers in education ministries around the world. My research keeps pace with global and local trends that call for the use of digital technology in mathematics education. I would like to enrich educational libraries with the modern topic of COVID-19 and the use of digital technology in mathematics education. And I would like to instruct teachers to use digital technology in mathematics education as well. And I would like to contribute to opening up new perspectives for further research in order to keep pace with technology and to exploit its positive role in mathematics education. So let's continue. I structured my research around three research questions, which were: was COVID-19 the gateway to the intensified use of e-learning systems in Hungary's mathematics education? What types of digital technologies were used in Hungary's mathematics education during the COVID-19 outbreak? And are adaptive e-learning systems the main challenge for mathematics education in Hungary after COVID-19? So let's see the similarities and the differences between literature and my research. My research is consistent with the following researches. For example, I mentioned four research, Kumar and Kumaresan, who argue that the emergence of such mathematical tools and their ability to handle the majority of secondary schools cannot be ignored by mathematics teachers. White and Martin in 2014, who investigated the impact of mobile technologies in the teaching and learning of mathematics. Shen et al., who found a positive impact of touchscreens and stylus tablets in mathematics teachings and learnings. And finally, Azevedo and Marquez, who identified the benefits of using massive open online courses, MOOCs, in mathematics education. However, my research differs from all literature reviews in its treatment of the COVID-19 variable. This is the first study on this topic in Hungary. The current study has extended the recommendations of previous studies, for example, Mulanga and Marban in 2020. Our results can motivate new areas of research. I have to mention that while digital learning is a lifelong process for many students affected by the consequences of the spread of a deadly virus, it can also be a way for everyone to cope with confinement at home. Unlike other studies, I interviewed participants using Microsoft Teams or the Zoom platform, a method that proved very useful in answering my research questions. So, in my research, I used the method of online semi-structured interviews, and interview questions were discussed with mathematics faculty from 7 universities in Hungary to determine content validity and appropriateness. I then conducted pilot interviews to determine the relevance of the interview questions and to assess the duration of the interview. I conducted the pilot interviews with 5 mathematics teachers. A stratified probability sample of 90 secondary school mathematics teachers was selected. The study was conducted in the second semester of the school year 2021 and 2022. Semantic analysis, which is a tool for grounded theory, was used to analyze the interview data. Initially, all interviews were recorded and transcribed, and the data were read and reread. In the next step, I used thematic coding, underlining the text in different colors, and then assign the data to separate categories, allowing the large amount of data to be reduced and synthesized. I then divided any communities identified into terms. The research results are best illustrated by the table on this slide. The results obtained from the analysis of the interview show that approximately 92% of the participants believed that COVID-19 is the gateway to digital learning in mathematics education in Hungary. In addition, approximately 95.5% of them stated that the use of online education by schools had expanded greatly after the outbreak of the COVID-19. This has led to the use of various software, for example, Moodle, eCheck, to facilitate communication between teachers and students, as well as MOOC courses in mathematics education. In line with extreme changes around the world, schools and universities have closed, turning interaction with colleagues and teachings through traditional lectures into an online virtual experience. This has led to use of different software to facilitate communication between teachers and students, as I mentioned before. In the teaching and learning of mathematics, 63.3% used mobile technologies and 41.1% used touchscreens and pen tablets. Furthermore, 32.2% concentrated on using MOOC courses, while 78.9% used Moodle in mathematics education in Hungary. And 97.8% of the respondents considered that adaptive e-learning systems are the main challenge for future mathematics education in Hungary. Maybe I hope that it will be around the world. So let's continue. Here is the discussion. In my opinion, due to the COVID-19 epidemic has made e-learning one of the most pressing needs in education in most countries around the world. According to the interviews, teachers will perceive the digital technology as easy to use because these tools has become mandatory for all educational institutions all over the world. Another possible explanation for these findings is the fact that when teachers' anticipations towards the digital technology in mathematics education benefits are confirmed, these tools will enhance their satisfaction and acceptance, which ultimately achieves the perceived objectives. These findings could be explained by the reason that if teachers think or perceive that it's uncomplicated and simple to use the digital technology, then they are willing and intend to spend more effort and time to learn how to do so, which would undoubtedly improve their performance. In contrast, if the digital technology is complicated and difficult to operate and use, then teachers would be unwilling to try to use it. And my conclusions. There were useful insights regarding the positive side effects of COVID-19 in Hungary. Participants reported a more positive perception of digital technology in Hungary's mathematics education as a result of its increased use during the time of the coronavirus school closures. In addition, they plan to use these newly acquired skills when school buildings reopen. We see this change in practice was an opportunity to rethink how technology can be used in Hungary's mathematics education to improve student learning and all over the world as well. Digital learning in Hungary's mathematics education was the instant positive response, but not only in Hungary. Naturally, adaptive e-learning systems could be the cornerstone of a new era after COVID-19 in Hungary and maybe all over the world. And a little bibliography, and thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Peter. We've learned a lot about the educational situation in Hungary during the COVID period, 19 pandemic period. Now that we went through all the three presentations, why don't you have a Q&A session? If you have any questions about the presentations, three presentations, please let us know. While you are getting ready for your own question, let me just ask a quick question from Mike. Mr. Aschera, I'd like to hear more about the responses from the teachers and children who used the material in educational settings. I guess there are lots of positive responses from them. Could you tell us more about the cases?
Yeah, so we're in many schools, and when we first started, our product was purchased for schools mostly as a tub of things that the teacher would have that the kids could play with when they were done with their work, right? It's just a play activity, and which was fine. But as time went on, we started introducing more and more curriculum. And the teachers found out that they can teach math with it and science with it, and they could teamwork, and they could have the kids build structures, and they could talk about history and how a bridge is built. So the response has been overwhelmingly, always increasingly positive. Is the more, because it's a discovery tool. So the teachers actually are in the process of discovering what the product can do too. Because when you give it to children, we find out the kids discover things that are aren't obvious. Right. So the teacher finds that there's a node of activity in their classroom that's very, very interesting. And it involves engagement of the child. It seems at least to be strangely educational, even if the teacher doesn't recognize what exactly it's educational about it, but it seems educational because they're making very smart looking things that relate to math. And sometimes, like I said, it challenges the teacher. The kid will make something, and the teacher will recognize it's something familiar, but the teacher might not have the educational background to necessarily appreciate what the kid made, which to our thing, my wife and I is thinking that's the proper direction of education, when the kids are pushing the teacher to get smarter. right? The teacher, the kids are ahead of the teacher in a way. That's really the best place you want education to be. You don't want to be a teacher to be a tugboat, just dragging the kids along. So that kind of creativity and discovery and innovation happens with LuxBlocks, and that's why it's appreciated, and that's why it's quite not understood a lot of times, because they're like, I don't know, all I know is the kids love it, and it makes our classroom look great because the parents walk in and the principal walks in, it looks like the kids are brilliant. I don't know half the time what they're building, but they're excited. And a lot of times our LuxBlocks ends up in the science projects the kids present at competitions. They'll use the LuxBlocks to make the presentation, build a machine. A lot, Philippe Longchamp, his kids in Sweden, they made they invented a kind of way to a capacitor for extra energy during the day that's accumulated during the day. That's not used at night, and they harnessed it in these spinning wheels they made out of LuxBlocks, and they put up these spheres made out of Lux and these spinning wheels on a hub, and the wheels would spin around at night and hold on to that energy like maglev, and they used the LuxBlocks to demonstrate that. And that's an example of kids using LuxBlocks to demonstrate scientific principles and inventions they made. Does that answer your question?
Please feel free to ask questions for Mike, Mr. Chera. Also, if you have any questions for Professor Yi or Peter, Mr. Negesi, please raise your questions. Please don't forget to have your mic on before you ask a question.
I have a question for Peter.
Please go ahead.
And I have a question for Mike as well.
I get to go first. So I agree with you. I saw COVID as an opportunity, and it's interesting. What your research is pointing to something that's not necessarily obvious, but it's not surprising that this has been the growth of a massive digital economy and a massive use of digital tools, and we're the Zoom economy in America now, right? And everyone's on Zoom. So that was wonderful that you pointed all that out. What would you say has been something you found out in your research that surprised you?
Thank you for your question.
Mm-hmm.
Which surprised me the best was maybe most of the teachers we interviewed told us that they are not closing. They are not closing from digital technology, but sometimes it's too complicated. And for me, who maybe is an IT person for you there, it's really surprising because there are a lot of courses, for example, in Hungary as well, and it can be learned, but for example, robotics. Children in primary school can learn that. So maybe there is a little negotiation in my colleagues, for example, because they would like to learn with the less effort, and it surprised me.
Yeah, learning is painful. The older you get, it hurts.
yes. But I would like to show them the possibilities and opportunities. Maybe they will see they can reach them.
Right. What I noticed too is the style of learning amongst kids is become, they're so quick at using YouTube to answer any question they might have. I'll watch a video.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I wish I had that when I was a kid. That's pretty cool.
And my question to you is it possible to use these tools you showed us, for example, worldwide? Will there be a possibility that we can try them?
Yes, they're actually in PEX, Austria right now, and PEX, Hungary right now. Are you near PEX?
Yes, 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 yes.
They're in
yes.
PECs. Christoph Venevesi's mother has them. Yes, we're making a big effort this year to go worldwide. We're looking for, I'm going to be hopefully in Qatar in a few months, and my wife is going to be in Japan next month. So we're trying, and I really want to get them, maybe Hogle Park can be a distributor, but I'd like to get them in South Korea. So, but we've already made the beachhead in Hungary. And I'd love to be in Hungary, since to me, Hungary is like the birthplace of like the greatest mathematicians in the world. So I'd love to establish something very big in Hungary. You're in Hungary, right?
Yes, yes, it would be wonderful. I would like to try it.
Well, maybe I'll send you some. How about that? I'll send you some to the Catholic University, Esterhazy.
That will be wonderful.
You got it.
Maybe we can talk it about later. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Peter, I have a question for you. I think in a way or another, your research has something related to, we can find some points related to Dr. Dana Picarda and Dr. Hershkovitz, the professor's research. Do you have any ideas about the situation described in your presentation, and you found during the presentation of the Professor Dana Picard and Hershkovitz. If you have any thoughts on that, please let us know. In relation,
unfortunately, I connected the conference a little bit later, so I can't see that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that your presentation and Dr. Dana Picard and Hershkovitz have some common points there in regard to the COVID-19 pandemic period. And please wait a minute. And virtual space and digital media for educational settings. It's running, we are running out of time. So do you have any questions there, the participants? If not, I think it's time to wrap it up. Is it okay? Can I have some more minutes, a few minutes? Okay. Okay. Let me just wrap this up. Now it's time to close the session. Thank you all for your interest in the conference and your participation. Special thanks go to the researchers who shared their invaluable ideas and insights in the presentation, which made the conference enlightening. It's all for this session. I hope to see you again in the near future on the course of our collective endeavor for the advancement of STEAM education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.